Welcome back to Wisdom Rising. I am your host, Christine Renee, and today I'm joined with a special guest. We have Derek Ivey on with us, who, we've known each other for a while. We actually met a couple summers ago, and he is a trained as a clinical hypnotherapist, but he has so much more than just that. The way he dives into the alchemical process and really helping people through addictions and toxic systems and illnesses and other major life transitions is just profound. And I love watching him do his work from afar. Like, we have been Facebook friends for a really long time. If you are on Facebook, I highly recommend you following his work because there's always something to learn there. And so I really wanted to bring Derek on because he had recently made a post on Facebook and I commented like, yes, I'm in agreement with this. And it was regarding plant medicine and addiction and all of these nuances that I really feel like needs to have more conversation in the spiritual world. So welcome, Derek, to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me on, Christine. And yeah, it's my pleasure to be here and share this time and space with you. And yeah, it's amazing how this came about and just organically, which I feel like both of us operate on that, where it's
Yes.
just like we're in our flow and our alignment. And yeah, it's always nice when those paths converge
Absolutely.
to.
And I feel like we both work so much within the nervous system and the subconscious and the spiritual field, and we both do Reiki. Like, I feel like it's really fun to watch how we both support and we do it in such different ways. And I love the uniqueness about that. So I'd love to start off just to let people know, what's your jam? What do you do? What do you love? What's your passion?
Hmm. Yeah. So, um, yeah, the article that I wrote that Christine found was about this concept of drugs or energy healing. Because I think in today's world, that people think it's like either or there are so many nuances to it. And so that's the reason that's close to my heart is because of my own journey. And when I was a lot younger, like even from age 16 to 20, I was a hardcore alcoholic right out of the gates. The first time I ever tried alcohol, I was in love with it. I thought I found God. I was like, wow, this, like, I've never felt so free to be myself. But then I soon found that it's like, okay, that does not come without consequences. So, my entire early 20s was a lot of chronic relapse, a lot of struggle, a lot of darkness and depression where I didn't know who I was. And I had not, no one had ever taught me how to find out who I was, how to express myself in healthy ways. So, yeah, that was something that it worked every single time was drinking, or then I got into more drugs later on, and just all of those things led me into the spiritual world. Like, that's what really made my soul have to figure things out. And
Mhm. Well, I'm wondering, like, is it the alcohol like lessened your inhibitions to be who you were, and you were trying to figure that out, and it was almost what I'm hearing is like it might have been an easy route to kind of allow yourself to explore who you were without
yes.
the fear or the things holding you back, your subconscious holding you back from the stories that were probably created when
Yeah.
you were younger. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yes. It was very much that way, where that was the first time I could actually talk to people without crippling anxiety, or it gave me the courage to kind of be my humorous self, or
Mhm.
like the self that could let loose and dance and all of those type of things. And yeah, it's like when I first went into recovery, I went in through a 12-step program. And I always tell people that was kind of my door, but not my path.
Yeah.
Like it kind of opened the door a little bit. And then that introduced me to more spiritual ways of seeing things because they were like, well, you need to find a power greater than you if you want to stay sober. And I was like, scared enough to be like, okay, I will do that because I don't want to go back to that. And I knew it would kill me if I kept
Yeah.
doing it, was another piece to that. And so yeah, today that has really shaped who I am. Kind of going back to your first question, like that pushed me into that realm to have to go and explore all of those different paths and see what really felt like me. And just from there, it, it keeps opening,
It keeps opening. Like,
even.
yeah, that's the beautiful part of it. And so um, it sounds like there was a part of the process where it was like, this can't work for me. I'm not
Hmm.
going to make it through if I continue to live this pathway of um of that addictions, right? And from there, you were able to come into different communities and starting with the 12-step program of going, there is something greater, there is a bigger
Hmm.
purpose there. And I just want to highlight that, like so many of people who are in addictions, it's like that hitting the rock bottom is kind of their opportunity to welcome in the light. We have to, you
Yes.
got to hit hard. And I don't think everyone needs to do that. Like, I think there's this, like,
Hmm.
please don't hit rock bottom. There's other ways to do it.
Right.
And you and I both have been there, right? Where it's like, if I continue doing things the way I'm doing them, I'm not going to survive it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I even like it was so almost like visceral, like you like this voice booming, like this strong knowing that it's like you will not be able to keep doing this and survive.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's that got me into Buddhism after I started going to 12-step worlds. Then that I started really finding comfort in listening to Dharma talks and just reading tons of Buddhist books, and that really changed my perspective. And it just, yeah, it's such a interesting thing to look back on now.
Right. Well, and it's interesting too how the path that led to I'm using this to release my inhibitions the became the thing that created resistance to actually who you were, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like this falseness of the substance, right? Like there's a energetic component of alcohol that makes you feel like something
Hmm.
you're not, but it feels good in the moment, but it just wears your soul down. And
Yes.
it's like that darkness piece allows you to go, and there has to be more. There has to be something else that I can do this
Hmm.
organically. Like there's a way to discover who I am and the fullness of who I am and my passions and my purpose without having to suppress part of myself.
Yes. Yes. And the other thing, as you were saying that, that came through is alcohol and the drugs never put you in a higher position when you're done.
Yeah.
It's always, it brings you higher for X amount of time, but then it always knocks you down further. Like that's the next day, the feeling hungover. And yeah, I was in so much shame and that like come down phase of my addiction. And like every day when I would wake up and be like, I'm not gonna do this again, and then I would do it again by 4 p.m. But yeah, it's like it brings you into that high state, but it is an artificial state. It's not
Well, and I want to hone in on that word you used. It brought up shame. And I find
Yes.
shame is like the stealer of our joy. Whether like and we've all experienced shame in some capacity. And it's like when we harbor shame, you can't experience the fullness of the joy of life. They're in
Yeah.
contradiction, right? And so then we're using a substance to suppress and not feel the shame that we have. And so then it becomes this vicious cycle.
Yes. Absolutely. And yeah, I was also going to ask you kind of what has your experience been with like
Mhm.
shame and your experiences with different substances and
Yeah.
recovery and like how does that all converge for you?
Oh, thank you for asking. It's interesting because I grew up Catholic with a full bar in the house. You know what I mean? Like it was
Mm-hmm.
part of my culture, but alcoholism wasn't in my family and it wasn't a part of the culture. It was very much like this is something that we do as a social.
Mm-hmm.
And as a teenager, I was a pretty heavy drinker. And I also realized really quickly the dangerous positions I would get myself in under the influence of alcohol. And so I would just change the environment.
Yeah.
I would, instead of going to high school parties with alcohol, I went to my cousin's house and we would watch
Mm-hmm.
Princess Bride and make it into a drinking game. And it was just this fun, lighthearted thing. Right. And so it wasn't, I don't have an addictive personality. I never had an addiction, I would say. It was more of an awareness of, okay, I know what alcohol does to me. I know what it feels like. And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't, I also didn't get like a big high from alcohol. I was like, cool, it's fun and funny, but I'm not like in the cycle of
Mm-hmm.
it. But it was more when in my first marriage, when I was with my partner at the time, my husband at the time, was a functional alcoholic. Whether or not he realizes that in any capacity, that's when things
Mm-hmm.
really started shifting for me. When I had a baby on my hip and he would choose buying a keg with the last $100 that we owned instead of groceries to feed the family, those were
Yeah.
pivotal moments of like, you are not making wise choices. You are putting your addiction ahead of the needs of the family.
Mm-hmm.
I now need to put in boundaries in place and figure out ways to protect myself and for the
Yeah.
survival of me and my child. There was a lot of emotional abuse going on where during the day it was all emotional abuse, and at night with the drinking, it was the
Mm-hmm.
fun, lucky, happy guy, right? But I knew it was false,
Yeah.
so it was like this
Yeah.
constant yanking back and forth of my emotional energy because of the alcohol
Mm-hmm.
use going on. And so I became pretty ready to be sober really
Mm-hmm.
quickly after that. And at the same time, I was a midwife studying Reiki during that time. And so it was really easy for me to be like, I'm on call. I'm not drinking. And so
Yeah.
I think I had a very interesting um, relationship with alcohol that where I could see it very clearly the downfalls because it was affecting my bank account. It was affecting my availability to survive, like really have
Mm-hmm.
food on the table um, and being emotionally abused because I would point that out, right?
Yeah.
And so the emotional abuse is really bad. And so when I left my first husband, it was really, really easy and clear for me to be like, I don't want alcohol in my home.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I wanted to gift my son, who was the product of that first marriage, was
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a house that didn't have alcohol in it. I wanted to give him a very concrete understanding of what it is like to live with someone, his dad, who had alcohol
Yes.
around all the time, and a household that had a supportive, healthy relationships without any alcohol in it. And this
Yeah.
became a huge priority for me to gift that to my son. So when I got remarried, one of the things that was really clear to me, it's like I don't want alcohol in my house. I'm not going to be drinking alcohol, and I would prefer that you don't drink alcohol either. I'm just putting my desire out there.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
he was fine with it. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm fine with the pot smoking, but I do not want alcohol in my house. And so that was like the
Mm-hmm.
first clear boundary of like, nope, we're not doing that. And then my second marriage, it was like, then pot became the thing, right? I was like,
Mm-hmm.
once again, I'm not an addict. I can partake and it's not a big deal. And maybe I'm using this for
Mm-hmm.
sleep. Sometimes it was using it for more of like the medical things. I had medical issues, but it wasn't, I could always set it aside. Like there was no addiction
Yeah.
there. And yet here I am with my second partner, my second marriage, who did have very addictive qualities, even with cannabis was having addictive qualities
Mm-hmm.
and then lying to me about the use, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like
That's, yeah.
so I kind of have been around the addiction um in
Yeah.
my relationships of going, no, I don't want that, but it seems to be this cultural thing, right? Like it seems
Mm-hmm.
like everyone's got to have a substance. And
Yeah.
so it's interesting. Like there is a piece of like I don't drink alcohol anymore. Like I just won't go there anymore. But like I can feel into it and I can partake, but I'm really consciously aware of what my intention is in participating, whether that is
Yeah.
psilocybin or ayahuasca or whatever. Like there's plant medicines out there, but I am really reserved.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've gotten myself in places and spaces in my adulthood um, where I had these experiences and I still had my early 20-year-old self who didn't get to really feel like the 20-year-old that really didn't party. Like
Yeah.
I had my baby when I was 24, and so I was really
Mm-hmm.
responsible doing midwifery care, like catching babies at age 20. This is not normal, right? Like I had this
Yeah.
growing up fast thing. And so there was a period where I really felt like I needed to give my inner 20-year-old a free for all pass to just
Yeah.
do it, experience it, get it out of my system. And then it really was done. I was like, and that chapter is closed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you ever
Wow.
feel like that? Like there was a part like I need to feed this aspect of who I am so that they feel like they got all of the attention that they needed. And now they're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it was just fascinating to hear your story with all of this because it's like you experienced it from kind of a slightly different perspective than I did. But yeah, there was also that same like aspect of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde when I would drink. Like I would be one person, and then as soon as I get a few drinks in me, I would be a whole different, it
Person,
would be a whole other
persona.
energy. And like looking back now and after doing a lot of my own healing work and doing deep healing journeys and going back to those earlier times in my life, I see now that like I'm also letting that younger me today have that expression and play and bring that younger, the true essence of who I really am
Yeah.
into everything I do today. Whereas back then it was like, yeah, that was so suppressed. And I think all of the expression that I didn't express got drink away or drugged away.
Right. And well, I think there's a really interesting piece there of who is our full authentic self without
Yeah.
substances, without something to lower the inhibitions. And it's this part of like recognizing where our internal fears are and the internal critic and where did that come from. And if we actually do the shadow work to really get
Mm-hmm.
into like recognizing what that is and alchemizing it and letting that go, now can I dance? Now can I sing? Now can I play?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need the substances to help us get there anymore because we've done the
Right.
organization work.
Yes, and that's kind of, like what you were saying about psilocybin and, psychedelics, like it's really big today. It seems to
Yes.
be like really prevalent where people are opening more to that type of path. And like for me, I was always like, I did psilocybin years ago and I had amazing experiences with it, but then I realized like I've actually reached deeper states and deeper realizations in Vipassana practice or in energy healing. So that's kind of what prompted me to write that article that we connected over was this concept of like they're all paths up the same mountain. They're like different ways, but I prefer today that path of I know how to get myself to that. And yeah, like you were saying, that's who you really actually are.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's really beautiful in the fact that when we can recognize I can reach these amazing states of being
Mm-hmm.
without plant medicine, without a substance. I have it innately within me to reach
Yes.
states of levels of ecstasy, of bliss, of connectedness with the divine. And I don't need it. I don't need it as like the crutch or the shortcut or the whatever. And so, I do feel like there's a lot of people utilizing substances these days for that intention, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
overall, this is a positive intention. I'm taking this to feel connected with
Mm-hmm.
the divine, right? And are you setting yourself up to think that you need something that it becomes a
Mm-hmm.
need or the only way that I can is to use
Yes.
the substance. And I think that's what I take issue with, right? Like there's all the
Mm-hmm.
studies on psilocybin and MDMA and all these things that are being used in therapy now and I think so
Mm-hmm.
often what's not discussed is how long the integration piece takes after you have these substances in you. And there was I attended a death and dying conference. Maybe I was probably about 2 years ago, and the
Mm-hmm.
keynote speaker was on ketamine and basically supporting people who are dying using ketamine. And it was a very interesting talk. And one of the
Yeah.
things that this PhD level doctor was discussing was the integration period of every single substance and what it does to the brain, right? So it's very
Wow.
commonly known now that psilocybin will help you have the neuroplasticity. Like it can help you rewire your brain. Okay, great. So now we're taking
Mm-hmm.
the psilocybin and we have maybe a 2, 3 day window of neuroplasticity. Like we're out of the medicine and our brain is ready to adhere to and take on new habits,
Mm-hmm.
new beliefs, new things. And what do we do in that space? So if we're recreationally taking this medicine and now our brain is like kind of mushy, it's
Mm-hmm.
ready to be molded and we're going into bad habits, if we're going to inner critic, if
Yeah.
right, it's actually making all of those things worse. And I think
Totally.
there's a part of it where it's like, do people really recognize the integration period and how are they honoring it? And if that
Uh-huh.
piece is missing, you're going to keep going back to the medicine for the quick hit. And then you're going to
Yeah.
re-establishing every single time the bad habits, the inner critic, the low
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem, if you're not doing it intentionally. And I don't think
Yeah.
many people are. People, that's what they're not talking about. Right. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's a part of me that's like, okay, I want to train my brain differently. I want to love on
Hmm.
me thinking that I'm whole and complete just as I am. And those places and spaces in within me that are critical, are self and analyzing, are are parts of me that just need more love, that they need more support, they need more honoring, they need more witnessing. I need to know why that inner part of me is so
Hmm.
rageful, right? And how can I approach myself with love, with self acceptance, with honoring, where I'm
Yeah.
not pushing those parts down and away? And I think there's so many practitioners that they're coming into psilocybin or ayahuasca or whatever it is to quote unquote heal from the thing. They're trying to
Hmm.
fix that part of themselves through the medicine.
Yeah.
And what if we were already whole and complete just as we are? And what messages
Hmm.
are we giving ourselves if we go in with the intention of, I have to heal this grief, I have to heal this trauma, I have,
Yeah.
right? Like, so it's something I don't think that, I don't want to stand here on a pedestal going like, I have figured it out. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of people who are allured into this mystery of plant medicine. And it's very much the hot thing, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
everyone's doing this. Like we can just be California sober, right? Like I'll
Hmm.
do all of the psychedelics. I just won't drink,
Yeah.
right? Like that's a thing.
Yeah.
And
It's totally a thing, especially like here in Colorado, where it's legal as anything really, like to do psilocybin or to do marijuana, or I even think there's more that is legal here.
mhm,
Like, and yeah, the times are changing, but you're so right. That integration piece is not there in a lot of cases where I think it's like it has, like I wrote down a couple metaphors, and I was writing down like drugs kind of rent you the view, whereas journey work and work with hypnosis and consciousness teaches you to build the window that you can actually, now you can see through that whenever you want. Not,
right,
you don't need that to get you there.
right. Yes, and I think that we have such a similar understanding of this from the perspective like hypnosis and shamanism. Like I feel like they mirror this of we
Yes.
have the accessibility within ourselves to create the conditions and spaces so that we can slip into non-ordinary reality and
Yes.
kind of reconstruct things in our subconscious
Mm-hmm.
and do it in a way that's really it feels softer.
Oh yeah.
Feels so much softer. It feels very like I'm allowed to receive. Allowed to let this unfold. I'm not going to
Yeah.
charge in and force something to adhere to something. And I just love that dynamic of let it be a
Mm-hmm.
process. Let the pathway open before you because I really think that we have this beautiful spirit team, this beautiful network of healing helpers that are
Oh yeah.
oftentimes like an aspect of ourselves and they're just lining up. They're just waiting for us to say, yes, I'm available for,
Mm-hmm.
like they're there and it's available. I think it's so readily available and people don't recognize how
Mm-hmm.
available it is. And sometimes it's as simple as sitting outside under a tree every day for 10 minutes, right? Like
Yeah.
we make it so complicated.
That's right. I was just thinking while you were saying that, like how now it's such a natural thing for like you and I to go into that state of non-ordinary reality, that yeah, it is so simple. And I like when I first was going into hypnotherapy school, I thought like, oh, it's, this big mystical state, almost like a drug or something, like, oh, I'm going to learn how to make people go into this trance and all this stuff. And then it's like the longer I've done it, it's like now I can go in just
Quick.
that intention and close my eyes and I'm there.
Yeah.
And that's because I've built those muscles, so
Yeah.
to speak, just like you go to the gym and you lift weights every day. It's kind of like our spiritual practice or our meditation practice, that it kind of builds that muscle up. So then it's like it's easy. It's
Right.
not, but it's like you also have to keep doing it. It requires maintenance, it requires intention.
Well, and Derek, I want to ask, like, how does that spiritual life spill over into your everyday, ordinary life,
Hmm.
right? Like recognizing, like, I've got this practice, and now who am I?
Oh, yeah, it's undescribable almost, like how amazing it is to really, like, people just feel something about you
Mhm.
when you have done the work, and you know that you have, and you know to your depths that it's like you're not holding that facade together anymore. You're just yourself. So I think it's allowed me to just be myself with less effort and labor. And it's like if it doesn't align, it's not for me. If it's not, like I used to just force so many things before I got into this way of living and taking myself into healing states. And it gives me that perspective when I'm in those states to handle the rest of life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that's what I wanted to hone in on. Like, you can't do this type of work and have it not have effect on your normal everyday life,
Oh, yeah,
right?
totally.
And I feel like when we have a practice, it feels like at some point it's no longer a practice, it's just who I am. It's just I'm being
Yeah.
Reiki. I'm being my most authentic, genuine self.
Hmm.
And in that place, I get to now explore where those edges of my comfort zone are. I get to go, I can get curious about my growth and where I want to explore and find where those boundaries are. Like, nope, I don't need to
Hmm.
go there. Right. And so it's this, I feel like it feels more joyous and it feels more alive, more ecstatic when,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like life feels, it feels tingly. And you know what? It was interesting. I did a tantric ceremony. This was probably last year. And for days, I felt like I was under some type of medicine for days on end. I felt like my body was fully alive and tingly. And I'm like, I feel like I'm on who knows what. What is this? Like I
Yeah.
feel my whole body feels so open, so awake. And I didn't take anything, right? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It's like that's accessible. This place of like my physical body feels more
Oh,
awake.
yeah.
I'm open to sensation. I'm receptive in a way that I wasn't.
Yeah.
And that feels incredible.
Oh, yeah. Just that's amazing that it's like you just, yeah, it's like you didn't have to take anything into your body to feel that. It's just such a deeper connectedness that is, yeah, and also like there's something else I was gonna say, but it left me. But
Well, I
yeah,
think
I totally,
it opens up this availability for you to get really clear on what your body wants to do naturally. Like,
yes.
you know what I mean? Like, even when it comes to like our normal culture, and I hate to say it that way, but it's kind of true. We're
Hmm.
so culturally conditioned to have uppers and downers, whether that's coffee in the morning, I'm going to bring myself up
Yeah.
for the day, and now I'm going to have a glass or two of wine at night to bring myself back down. And
Yeah.
this is what our normal American, I'm not going to speak for anywhere else because I haven't lived anywhere else. Our normal American
Hmm.
culture is really like, this is what we do. We
Yeah.
wake up, we have to be productive, and now we have to turn down so that we can go to sleep.
Hmm.
And, I was in this conversation fairly recently about someone trying to determine what their normal schedule that would feel good would be. And that was my recommendation. I'm like, well, have you taken out your uppers and downers? And,
Yeah.
there's this fear of like
Wow.
taking out the coffee. And I know for me, without the uppers and downers, no coffee, no stimulants, no downers, no
Hmm.
alcohol, no nothing to like calm me down at night. I'm not taking the sleeping pill or whatever, right? Like we're not
Hmm.
doing any of that. I know that my most productive time for my body is between 9 a.m. and about 1 p.m. I'm going to get so
Yeah.
much stuff done. And then my body wants to take a nap or go for a gentle walk or do something soft and easy,
Yes.
right? And then I get a burst of energy around 7 p.m. to about 9, 6 to 9.
Hmm.
It's like I get another burst of like productivity. I want to do things. And then it's like, all right, I'm ready to settle down for the night and I want to be in bed by 10, right? And so
Yeah.
that's not the normal American proposed schedule, right? It's not.
No.
So we try to
And
force ourselves into a box. But
oh yeah.
right? And when I get to play in like the space that my body naturally wants to be in, I'm at my optimal. I'm connected. I'm with it.
Yes. And that's such a gift from living in these states of consciousness that just become who we are. Because yeah, I know the same things about myself. I'm like, well, maybe I should move my schedule a little bit this way because I know that's when I really shine. That's my best, like right now. Like
Yeah.
that's when I'm also in my most productive is like 10 to about noon or 1.
Mhm.
Like I'm more sharp, I'm more calibrated.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's like working with those cycles instead of burning up energy trying to
Fit.
change those cycles. It's like, why don't we just work with it? It's
Yeah.
like,
Right. And why
but
don't we
yeah,
live in a culture that accepts that we're all different and like
right.
has like there's such a I think the culture has such a need for this idealization of the 9 to 5. But I don't
Yeah.
feel like if there's people in the service industry and they're working nights, they have just as much honor and value as the people who are working
Oh,
during
yeah.
the day. So it's like this, it almost reflects a value in the culture that we're supposed to be 9 to 5 people or 8 to 5 people. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah. I felt I've been part of that before, like, you know, in that's actually kind of what brought me into this world of work because I got a 9 to 5 office job and I thought that was going to be I've arrived and I hated it.
Oh, yes.
I felt like I was in jail. I was like just every day my brain would not work to do that kind of stuff and I was just like you can't even make me care about this because it's like it doesn't matter. It's
Right.
just things in a computer.
Right,
It's
right.
like
Well,
I want
I was right there with you where it's like I'm getting now chronic migraines. I'm having all these health issues. Why? Because I'm sitting in
yeah.
fluorescent lights, staring at a computer screen. I'm not
Mhm.
taking care of my body. I'm grabbing a coffee and rushing to work, not eating appropriate, like all of that,
Yeah.
that corporate go, go, go is like this. I can't live this way. And really be able to step in my flow of like, how do I want to
Yeah.
eat and how do I want to sleep and how do I want to dance and how do I want to communicate and how do I want to live my life so I'm not having to need a vacation from it?
Yes, or a substance
or a substance to
to
suppress it.
escape from it. Like, yeah,
Right? I think that's what I'm trying to get to. Like I know we're
yeah,
on a divergence from the like talking about substances and addiction, and I think it's that. It's like it goes
yeah. It's
into a
all.
culture of escapism. And what if we didn't have
Mm-hmm.
to escape from our life, our beauty, our passion, our authenticity? What if we could speak to our truth? What if we could speak to our desires,
Yeah,
our fears, our boundaries, and not feel ashamed for that? Not feel bad for having the boundaries that we do or having the desires that we do. And what if we lived in a world that could really hear one another? Like
mm-hmm.
I know in my area, my local area of Montana, most people here have a really hard time with their throat chakra. Like I don't know if Colorado is similar, but
Yeah,
they're not talking up for what their needs are. They're not communicating because they're
yeah,
so worried that they're going to offend somebody,
mm-hmm.
right? And it's like,
Yeah,
what if we lived a life where we felt okay and
mm-hmm.
comfortable in advocating for what we needed, advocating for our desires, reaching for those desires, like taking the steps to go,
Yeah,
I want to offer this class and I'm going to go do it, like,
yeah,
and I think there's an aliveness to when you're not escaping, you're more readily to say yes to the things that make you feel alive, and you're more
yeah,
receptive to receiving not just the pleasure, but the bliss of life.
yeah, totally. Yeah, and there is so much bliss in life when you are tuned in and you're in your center and you're following your
Mhm.
intuition and you're using your voice, you're saying when you need something. Like you're, yeah, you're not worried if, oh, is this gonna offend that person? It's like kind of shifted me to more of a what is right rather than like who is right type of way to
Yeah.
see things.
Yeah. No, I think that's an interesting point of how are we holding our desires back or fears back, like the communication because we don't want to offend. And I feel like there's so much, I don't know, I feel like there's so much room for growth in those areas of going, if I'm holding who I am and know who I am, the likelihood of me getting offended is going to be so much less. And if
Oh
I
yeah.
and if I am getting offended, then I need to look at where are the places within me that is in agreement to what they just said, or that feels like there's an
Hmm.
energetic cord there of some kind. There's something within me instead of going, well, that's just not right. I can let
Yeah.
that go. Like that's their stuff, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so it gets you can get curiouser and curiouser around,
Hmm.
oh, I see that that's something within me still that I still need to understand about myself and support myself in. And there's
Hmm.
maybe there is a part of me that's still hurt by the shame, guilt, whatever it may be from my past when it comes to this particular issue. And there it is again. Hello, grief,
Yeah.
whatever it is, right? Like there's
Hmm.
there's so much availability to witness yourself when you're not escaping, you're not running away from it anymore.
Yes. And that's funny you bring that up because that's what I've been on the last couple weeks is this just being the observer. Like who is the one that gets stressed out because there's a bill to be paid, and who is the one that gets relieved of that when it gets paid. And it's just interesting to be that observer now at this point in my life and just be like, I'm not that one that gets
Yeah.
like I'm the one that is beyond that.
Right.
Like,
Right. And I think that's there's so much power in that statement of being the observer, knowing that there's a part of yourself that's worried about the bill. There's a part of myself that's worried about being too much or not enough. Like there, but
mm-hmm.
it's not all of who I am.
Yeah.
And we get it if we can observe that of going, an aspect of me believes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's, and I
Yeah.
can also have this dissonance in me going, and I know, I know that I am perfectly imperfect just as I am, that I'm meant to be both human and divine, and that there's a beauty in
Yeah.
humanity of my life, and that life is
Yes.
going to keep lifing to give me
Mm-hmm.
the availability to reveal those places and spaces that say I'm not enough or I'm not good enough or whatever it is so that I can love on those aspects, right? And not say it's all of
Yeah. Yeah, that's so powerful. Because, yeah, they're all just looking for love. They all have positive intentions somewhere,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
but yeah, they just need more love. And that's what's so amazing about this way of living is it just allows that to, for us to hold all of it
Yeah,
and be who we came here to be.
I love it. So as we kind of wrap up our time together, I'd love to ask, how do you do this with your clients in hypnotherapy? I want to kind of really hone in on that
Mm-hmm.
for a minute because I feel like we are vibing on the same wavelength, but I want to get more
Mm-hmm.
specific of like, what's your work like in this arena?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what I do is what's called transpersonal journey work. And transpersonal, for anyone listening that doesn't know what that is, it's everything to the highest aspects of highest potential. And so we'll spend a good amount of time just discussing like where are you at in life, what challenges are you going through right now? What are you creating? What is standing in the way of that? Just really getting to know you as a person first. And then I do what's called an induction, which takes you into that state of trance, which is the non ordinary reality state. And it's not anything crazy. It's like the same state we all go through multiple times per day, split second when we're waking up in the morning as drifting off to sleep. And I take a good amount of time just working with you as if you're more of a visual person, I'll use more of a visual lead. If you're more of a kinesthetic person, I'll use more that lead system. And there's ways I can tell how relaxed people are getting just by their physiological signs, their breathing, their involuntary movements. And yeah, we take you into that state where the conscious mind that's always thinking, what should I have for lunch? What does this person think of me? That part is gone. So it's to the depths of what who you actually are, and there's so much clarity in that state, and it literally is a journey.
Mhm.
It's just like a painting, you could have a blank palette or a blank
Mhm.
canvas and you don't know what exactly you're going to paint on there, but you have an idea. It's kind of like that with this. We never know until we actually get into the session what is going to come out, where is the journey going to take us. But yeah, it just guide you to find your own answers. So I never have an agenda for your healing. I never have any expectation. It's just allowing you that space to and me to ask you questions that lead you where those parts, where do they need to get on a different wavelength, where one party wants to drink and the other party wants to be sober. Well, what do those parts need to be in agreement so they can work in harmony? Or do we need to go back to an earlier time and retrieve an aspect of your soul that you lost in this life or a past life? Or do we need to do more integration work? Or so it can go
So
really anywhere. But the beautiful thing about all of this is I teach you how to bring yourself into that state and make you a recording so you can do that yourself and take yourself into that state, and then you'll be in that place that we're talking about.
I love that. And I think this is where I think we've always gravitated towards one another because it's not about having clients be with us forever, right? Like
Right.
there's a part of
Yes.
it like I want to give you the tools so that you don't need me anymore,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
I so appreciate that about you and your practice because I see that.
Yeah.
I see this
And
like
same.
yeah, it's like we want to empower our
Yeah.
clients so that they know that they have everything that they need within themselves. And we can be
Oh,
your
yeah.
guide, we can be your mentor, but we're never the person who has the power over the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love going
Totally.
into those places with your clients where you're like, I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, and to
Mm-hmm.
be a practitioner who can trust that is like bravo, like that's I love that space. I love that space of like people are like, well, what are we going to do in the session? I'm like, we'll find out. Like,
Yep.
and
Yeah. It's like, I
so
don't know.
it's so amazing. It's so amazing to let the divine, higher intelligence, our higher wisdom, like whatever we want to call it, to really kind of be there, be present, and lead the process. And we're just there as a guide to kind of
Yeah.
nurture and like and
Mm-hmm.
help guide the boat a little bit. But it's your water, it's your stream. You're the one who has the paddles. And I
Oh, yeah. Totally. And yeah, same here. Like, I've always admired your work so much, and I can feel that like in everything you do. And that's why it feels so good to be here and have this conversation with someone who really gets that. Because yeah, I think both of us, like, we're here to leave a legacy that is going to be far beyond after our physical bodies are out of this. Like, people will still be learning from us, which is amazing. I
yes,
love that about being alive today, is like I'm leaving so much for people even after I do pass on.
yeah,
Then and yeah, just being that, it's like I hope that people still say hi years later. But yeah, I don't want to have to meet with you every week for years. And it's like I want to teach you how to do this stuff so then you can do that and trust yourself and take yourself to those places, and then have help someone else, hopefully.
absolutely. Well, Derek, I'd love for you to share the best way for people to connect with you. If someone was going to reach out after hearing this podcast, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, I would say the best way is just my website, dgtwellness.com. And yeah, we'll put that in the comment or the
Oh no.
description box.
Yep.
And also, yeah, I have Facebook. It's just my name, Derek Ivey. I have YouTube at DGT Wellness, but really my website, dgtwellness.com, you can see courses that I have, the sessions, any capacity that you want to connect. And yeah, I would love to connect.
Yay, that's fantastic. Well, I am so glad that we had this conversation. I hope it was enlightening for those listeners out there. And be sure to check out Derek's social media, his website, all of the things. We'll find those in the show notes. And until next time, I hope everyone has a really beautiful rest of their week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Christine, and everyone.